Okay, I have 6:30, so we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the December 11th meeting of the Merrimack Conservation Commission. Um, Danielle, if you would, please sit in as voting member for Gage. And Tom, if you would do the same for Karis. Perfect, thank you. We have no public hearings tonight, so that brings us to our first order of business, which is the review for a standard dredge and fill permit application from New Hampshire Department of Transportation regarding the FE Everett Turnpike widening project. This project is New Hampshire DOT 13761A, proposes to widen the roadway from 2 to 3 lanes in each direction with an addition of a northbound and southbound travel lane. This project begins just north of Tinker Road, the Tinker Road overpass at exit 8 in Nashua, and continues north for approximately 2.2 miles, ending approximately 400 feet north of the Industrial Drive overpass at exit 10 in Merrimack. This is one, so for those, if you don't know, unlike a regular project where we'd have an engineer or somebody here representing this one, this is part of a 4-part project. We were just talking about this. I think it's part 3 of 4. I think the final phase is the one near the high school. It widens that. Really, our our choices with one of these dredge and fill permits is we can ask for an extension if we feel compelling reasons. If somewhere in these 334 page document we thought we spotted a flaw or something that needed further review, we can ask for that. I don't recall ever doing that. We would have to have a real compelling reason to become a speed bump and set this project back, especially now that we're in the 3rd phase of it. I do think this one in particular is one that we've been waiting for, because if you looked at pages 55 through 62, somewhere in the middle of this packet, it outlined all the mitigation, what the proposed mitigation strategy was for this. And there's even a calculation of what that check would look like to the state ARM fund. And I don't know, do you recall, Ellen, what does ARM fund stand for?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Does anyone remember?
I used to.
Yeah.
Aquatic restoration.
Yeah.
Mitigation.
Yeah. That would make sense, because that's essentially what it does. It takes these, significant amounts of wetland are going to be impacted. I think it actually told us in here what the wetland impacts were in terms of square footage, and it was a lot.
It was 2,100 square feet permanent, 1,387 temporary, and then far more regarding prime wetlands and short.
Yeah. When you included everything, it's almost 40,000 in permanent and 30,000 in temporary. But then it takes you to the calculator, and I think that amount, they don't calculate that final amount until the project actually takes place. But one thing we've talked about previously, and some of you may not have been part of that discussion, is there's a parcel in town that would be an ideal candidate for a mitigation. Rather than having the state write this check to the ARM fund, the state could release a parcel that it already owns, and basically that's the parcel right over here that is between the DW Highway and Wildcat Falls. It's a buffer to the river.
That's between the Everett.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. I'm sorry. Between the Everett and Wildcat Falls, it's, what is it, 65 acres?
Approximately 65. We've been in negotiations for quite some time on that.
We would never receive this parcel from the state if they agreed to it until that final phase is complete, because they'll likely use it as a staging area, for materials and so forth when they do the final phase, much like they did the parcel up in Bedford at the intersection of 101 and Everett Turnpike up there. I think this would be, they'd use this in a similar fashion during the construction phase. But ideally, I mean, what a perfect candidate for so many reasons. That would be a fantastic candidate for mitigation. Just add that, transfer that parcel to the Conservation Commission. We could combine it with Wildcat Falls and make that a bigger parcel.
Yeah, some of you may remember the presentation Tim Tenhave gave about 6 months ago, and I think he said the total restoration amount that they were looking at was in the neighborhood of $160,000.
It's more than that now. We just calculated it out. At least it's somewhere in here. I thought it was 450,000.
Ooh.
It's all in here somewhere. There's also an email string in here between Department of Transportation and an environmental analyst for the developer, talking through some of the other, the ARM fund and how that was calculated. But I did ask for some guidance on what our best next step was on this, and I think probably what we should do is formally make a motion tonight that we want to pursue this, and what we would do is generate a letter, I guess, probably generate an email. I don't know, maybe we would do that in cooperation with the town manager, maybe we would do that even in cooperation with the town council. But just to remind the State Department of Transportation of our interest in that parcel. Anyone have other ideas or thoughts on this? No? I don't know if this isn't a standard motion, but why don't I go ahead and make a motion that we, as a commission, we make our intentions regarding this parcel known to the State Department of Transportation and the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services in cooperation with the town manager's office.
Make our
Seconded.
intentions known to DOT and DES in cooperation with the town council.
Mhm.
That we
Mhm.
pursue the lands.
As a mitigation. And seconded by Andrew. Would anyone like further discussion on this? Questions about the process? It won't be overnight, but I think we need to keep moving on this. We've been waiting specifically for this dredge and fill permit to come out, because this is another window of opportunity.
I think it was indicated it'd probably be about 2, maybe 3 years before we actually saw it, because that it would take them that long to finish the. I think there are actually 5 stages of the construction.
Are there 5? Yeah, I can't recall. Any other discussion? No?
So just to be clear, this is just about our intentions, or our interest in the parcel.
Right,
Uh,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just essentially, yeah, if it ever came to fruition, we'd have to there'd be a lot of other steps we'd have to take.
Yeah.
We'd have to, do the deed transfer and fund some of that.
So as a commission, we make our interest in the parcel known to DOT and any NHDES in cooperation with the town.
I think that sounds perfect. All those in favor? All right. Motion carries 6-0. I think if you don't mind, Ellen, I'll work with Paul and draft something up. I'd love it if you would proofread that before
Sure.
we. The next item is Conservation Commission to consider the request to expend up to $800 from Fund 53 to purchase the seedlings from New Hampshire State Forest and Nursery for the annual seedling giveaway. So I didn't get this in time to get it into the packets, but I have just a proposal here. Gage, who's placed this order for us, and we've collaboratively talked about the different species and so forth. Last year we got shut out on this thing because just seedlings were in short supply, and
We got in line too late.
we got in line too late. Yeah. This year, when did this just came out, right? Who the seedling, the order form or whatever? I think it came out last Monday. So a lot of these are available. I looked online today. Gage has proposed the following: 25 blue spruce, 4 wetlands packages. So the wetlands packages, they include 25. Each one includes 25 seedlings. There are various New Hampshire wetlands types. 4 native shrub packages, 25 red maple packages, 25 sugar maples, 25 native grape, 50 crabapple, and 25 red berried elder. So all in all, that's 375 seedlings. It comes to $495. I suggest that we would make the motion for a little bit more than that, because when he goes to place this order for a sold out, he needs the ability to call an audible, and
Could you repeat the total again? 375
375.
seedlings.
Yep, $495.
Thank you.
Yeah, we just want to give Gage is willing to place the order. But we should make sure we have a buffer in there for him to call an audible if needed. Last year, we weren't able to order from the nursery. Instead, we used,
Arbor Day Foundation was one.
was that one of them? Yeah. The Hillsborough County Conservation District and Arbor Day. Yeah.
So are these seedlings for use by the Conservation Commission on our properties or for giveaway
No,
to
this is
town
for
residents?
our annual event that we do at Courier Orchard.
Courier Orchard gives us
I remember.
basically access to their parking lot for a morning, and we have people come by. And I guess in previous years, there's sometimes been a limit of 5, but other years, like last year, I think was the first one since COVID that it was back to normal. And people would come by, and blue spruce was popular, a lot of things. And we just give out the seedlings, and anyone in town who's a resident is
I
welcome
remember
to
we
them.
got a couple.
Yeah, they're pretty. I mean, this is probably our biggest event every year. Some years the weather can be. It's the Saturday before Mother's Day, so weather's always a crapshoot. But even how many people do you think came last year?
Oh, gosh.
Well over 100.
Over
wasn't it?
100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
it's
people will do their research. They'll go online. Ellen and I don't know who helped you. We got the species on,
Oh, yeah.
so people show up. They know what they want.
We will make a flyer, it'll go
Yeah.
up on Facebook, it'll be posted around town, if these are the varieties we'll have, and people come in on a mission.
Mhm.
My mission is hemlocks. this spring.
And we've done a pretty good job. Toward the end of the day, we try to just try to exhaust everything and not have any left over, and we've usually been pretty successful at that. This does seem, Gage is right though. This seems to be the sweet spot in terms of the number of seedlings, about 375. Anyone have questions or suggestions? If someone wanted to tweak the assortment, we could do that. I would recommend you email individually Gage with that question. What we don't want to do is wait till the next meeting to review the assortment again. We would need to get this order placed.
I do have a question, and it comes from my lack of experience on this commission. What is Fund 53?
Great question. So Fund 53 is the, I'm glad you asked this because these are the things I don't think to stop and explain. Fund 53 is our Conservation Commission fund. That's the one that comes from the land use tax. A lot of that fund was developed when the what do you call it? The mall, the outlets went in because all that land was taken out of current use and changed into commercial use. So there was a lot of Fund 53 came from that purchase. Fund 53 won't replenish at the rate that it has, just because
We're
there's not a
running
lot
out
of.
of land in town that is in conservation right
Okay.
now in private hands.
So
But the other fund we use is 51, and that's out of the annual town budget.
okay, so am I correct in understanding that Fund 53 is we have authority, autonomy over that fund?
We do, and by statute, there's certain things we can and cannot purchase with it, but this clearly falls within the bounds of what
Okay.
that fund is for.
Thank
When
you.
we buy supplies for a bridge, it comes out of here. Yeah. Well, most everything that we spend is out of Fund 53. The ones that aren't out of 53 that would come out of Fund 51 are, for instance, the when we pay for, when people want to go to the NH conservation, the annual convention, that comes out of 51. These packets come out of 51.
Okay.
Any
Thank
other questions, feedback about this? Someone like to make a motion?
To approve, $800 is the request, yes.
From Fund 53? And
to
allow
authorize
Gage to make this. Motion by Andrew. Second by Eric. Anyone feel a need for further discussion? No? All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. We're flying through this. The next one is Merrimack Tree Farm status. So there was a couple items in your packet. These were sent to us. I think we got the same information, if not last year, we got the same information 2 years ago. I forget what I think this outlined, just the history on this. The town back in the 90s, not even the Conservation Commission, the town back in the 90s enrolled several parcels, Mast Road, Greater Woods, Mitchell Woods, Wildcat Falls, Gilmore Hill, and Horse Hill into this program. Back then, this was a nationwide program that promoted long-term forest management processes, and this was during a period where there was heightened concerns about deforestation and the way timber harvesting was taking place. There was a master timber management plans for all those parcels I named. We worked with a forester who helped us develop those, but really the last one of those that's been updated was Greater Woods in 2012. So we're long past due for a recertification of these. And one thing that's changed is it used to be a program. It was a nonprofit program. Now it's a third party that manages this certification program. And to be active in that, we would basically have to develop a current timber management plan for all those parcels. And we'd have to pay someone to do it. We don't have anyone on the commission with the time or the knowledge to go out. We'd have to pay a forester to come in and do this. My recommendation, and we can talk about it, we can research it, we can table it. My recommendation is that we opt out of the program. And this is kind of where we left this 2 years ago, but I don't think we ever officially opted out of it. I think it would be good to develop, to work with a forester and develop woodland management programs. And that would cost money, but I don't know that we necessarily need to do that as part of the tree farm program. I mean, we could find a forester, have them prepare a bid for us or a quote, and work with them on a certain property if we want to, and be part of that, kind of like we did with, I don't know if any of you took part when we had Moosewood Ecological come in here and we did some vernal pool walks and stuff, and that was the same idea. They traced, tracked landings, turtles for a while. But we used it as an educational event. We invited the members of the public. I think we could do something like that, but this tree farm certification program isn't cheap. It's probably something we would have to, almost put out and request bids. And actively harvest timber on our parcels, which I don't know that in the past there's been an
It
appetite
seems
to do.
like all of our tree farm properties were also conservation properties. And from what I know about the tree farm program, some of their standards and practices might not be compatible with what we need for conservation areas, or even allowed under the deeds we have the conservation areas under.
I think some of that could be true too.
So what exactly are like the advantages to us of being a part of the tree farm program?
Currently, I'm not sure. Well, one, I guess we would have someone actively, create these timber management programs for us. But we could do that without being part of the tree farm program.
Yeah, the tree farm program is basically a certain set of standards and a certification through these inspections of maintaining those standards on a regular basis. And the standards are fairly strict in some cases. And in many cases, I believe they actually require regular harvesting of wood
I think
to keep things clear. And it doesn't seem like that's really compatible with conservation property, that we don't necessarily want any timber harvesting. We would like to have a forester help us keep the forests healthy in our conservation areas, but not sustainably harvested and with a commercial bent. That's not what they're for.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head too. Some harvesting does develop healthier forests, but the economics of it work exactly that way. If you have a timber harvester that's going to want to come in and do, we want to come in and do harvesting, they're going to want to do a certain number of, or certain acreage to make it, to make the economics of it work. If not, we're paying a fortune to weed the forest.
Right. And actually, the process of doing the harvest is, in the short term, very damaging to the forest. There's a large parcel of about 40 acres around the corner from my house, and I watched it become a tree farm about 3 years ago. And it is only now starting to come back to looking like a natural area. Because those harvesters, they're very big machines with very big tires, and they chew up the ground and they make a lot of mud, and and there's some collateral damage with some of the smaller trees.
Mm-hmm. I think there is a value to us if we probably should work with a forester and at least bring one in to talk to us about what parcels they think are present the highest potential to do some sort of management with. Certainly the farm, the parcel we have no access on right now, we're gonna at some point need an access road at Fields Farm. That would be probably that's something we probably would want a forester to give us some feedback on, what the right location is, what the right path for that road to take, and so forth.
Now, I notice in the letter from UNH Cooperative Extension, it says, the forester says, "I'd be happy to provide a presentation or woodlot walk with MCC as part of my role as extension forester." I would certainly benefit from accompanying a forester on a walk of the property, but I would not want to ask for one, assuming that we would sign on.
Right.
I would be
Was that in
doing it
this
to
one?
learn. Yes, it's right at the bottom.
And if such talk were given, it actually might be beneficial to open it to the public, because we have many landowners in town that own sufficient acreage to be a wood farm. I think there's a minimum of either 10 or 20 acres
Okay.
to be a wood farm.
Because I'd be happy
tree
to
farm.
learn from what they have to teach, but without committing to
To
continued
going through the
participation in the
certification
program.
process, yes.
Yeah.
If someone agrees to become a tree farm, who funds all of does that come from the state, the funding for whatever
No,
gets done?
I think if you own 100 acres and you're willing to let someone come in, and this is the way I understand it, if you're willing to let someone come in and clear X number of acres, 30, or harvest, not clear cut, but
Yes.
harvest a certain number of acres, a certain number of trees, especially if you have straight pines and trees that people want to harvest. I think they'll do it for free.
Okay.
For what it's worth, there's a local company, Granite State Forestry, and I know they've recently done 3 tree farms in the Merrimack area, including the one that's around the corner from my house. And it might at some point be worth just reaching out to them to talk about, what was involved in doing that.
Mm-hmm. So I guess we have a couple decisions to make. Does anyone feel like we should continue or invest the time and resources to be a member, to continue to be members of the tree farm program?
At the moment, no.
No, right. I
We,
agree.
we've already lapsed since it's after December 1st. And
I think
maybe we can learn more and later decide if there are some areas in town that might be appropriate for. But as you say, there's a significant cost to doing it.
So maybe the next step is maybe when we communicate our decision on the tree farm program, maybe I should ask this gentleman, Michael Gagnon, if he'll come in, maybe have him come to like our February meeting, one of our February meetings, and just tell us about it. We can talk to him about a couple parcels. And then maybe at that meeting we could schedule a site walk. Pick a parcel at that meeting and schedule a site walk for this. I assume the best time to do that's in the spring.
Mud
Not
season.
February.
No, not February. Yeah. Everyone
Ac-
agree with
Actually,
that?
there is some advantage to doing it in winter. The ground is more
Solid ground.
passable and
Yeah.
you can see more of the
Yeah.
trees.
Mhm.
I
I'm
like
not
the idea
opposed
of consulting him, inviting him though, and
Yeah,
seeing what we can find out.
he may have that kind of feedback. He may say, let's do it before things blossom in the spring, but
Okay.
let's try it. If everyone, if that's the consensus, we don't need to vote on this. I'll go ahead and I'll email this gentleman. I'll ask him if he can come in February. Good enough. All right. Moving along. Next item, is discussion of potential vote regarding donation of 10 benches and 3 picnic tables to the Conservation Commission. That was submitted by Mike Drew. Mike, if you want to come up and take part in this.
I'd just like to recuse myself from the matter.
Okay.
Yep, I understand.
And if you wish to participate in the presentation, go right ahead.
All right, Michael Druin, you guess you don't need to say your name for the record. We've got you. Ellen's got your address.
Michael Druin, 2 Crosswoods Path Boulevard. Gotcha.
Mike Druin.
So, Mike, thank you for your generosity first, and know you've donated something previously or recently. We can't approve it, but we can certainly send our recommendation to the town council. But you want to just talk to us about what you're looking to donate?
All right, so we donated 2 benches. I think it was sometime in the summer for Sklar, and so far they've been well used and liked by the public. No problems with them. Well, I'd like to spread that goodness to the other properties that are not Sklar. Especially, we have a lot of people, a lot of elderly that are getting out more into the outdoors. Disabled people. I see them on my hikes, and it's nice to have a spot to sit down and rest and take in the nature when you're out there. So I'm requesting permission to donate up to 10 of these benches and 3 picnic tables over the next 3 years. I put such a number up to because I don't want to come back here every time. I'll be here way too much.
No, we understand that. I think I don't want to. My belief is the town council to approve these, they're going to need to approve a specific donation for a specific parcel. I don't think they could give a blanket extension, certainly one over 3 years. But I don't know. That's a question that you know the process. You submit an agenda item request form, and they can give you feedback on whether that's possible or not. And naturally, where these benches are ready to be placed, we would ask that you just coordinate either with us or with the subcommittee, make sure we talk through how they're going to get there, the particular placement and so forth. We don't want anything too close to a river or any of those items. These benches don't say anything on them. They're just.
It's gonna have a donation plaque, preferably, just with our names.
Okay.
We're hoping to work with the subcommittees to find the best locations for these benches.
So I have a question about them. I'm looking at the pictures. Their natural wood, is it pine, cedar? Do we know?
She builds them, so she can have.
I grabbed those
Okay, but it's
Weather guard.
specifically not painted. Okay,
No, no paint.
it's stained. All right.
Yes,
I asked because we got a picnic table at Wildcat Falls some years ago, and it's painted, and now it is disgusting. No one will use it at all because the paint is peeling in chunks, and the wood underneath is black with mold, and no one will touch it. So
I'm sorry, Danielle, could you tell me, was that untreated?
It is treated.
It is treated wood.
Yes, weather guard deck.
Treated and steamed.
Something like that.
These are beautiful.
Mm,
beautiful.
yeah, they're nice.
I assume all the benches are.
There would be some.
Anyone else have feedback?
Well, for the record, Wildcat Falls would enjoy a replacement picnic table that someone would actually use. We built the site for it, and the site is still in fairly good shape despite the table. And although we actually have several benches in the park, your mention of actually handicapped accessible, there's a particular spot by the river that one of these might work out well. So we'd be interested in one or two.
Anyone else? Well, I appreciate your generosity. I'll go ahead and let the town council know you've come to us and we have no objection and we appreciate your generosity and we just want to make sure we get, hear about the placement and how they're going to get there before that occurs. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for coming.
All right.
Thank you.
The last item we have under new business, there's some good news here. There is a individual interested. His name is Jim Fisher. This is someone that George of the Scholar Subcommittee has been working with. He's a Merrimack resident, has been since 2018. He had a long career in manufacturing, and now he spends his spare time doing landscaping, fixing things, and spending time at Scholar. He would like to become a member of the subcommittee at Scholar. The timing is fantastic. And in addition to that, Tom has volunteered to be the MCC rep to Scholar, which we haven't had. So thank you for throwing your hat in the ring. We appreciate that.
I read the a set of minutes from one of their meetings, and the chairperson, whose name I can't even remember, mentioned that we'd like to know more about what's going on in the main committee, but we don't have a liaison. So I just thought, well, I've done work at Scholar. I'm a little bit familiar with it. So
Who is the chairman of Sklar?
George. Yeah. George Theodoro. Did I say that last name right? So what would the terms be? I would suggest that Tom's term mirror what your MCC term is, right? Or do you?
Stephanie has put on here, and she's got the list
Oh,
of
she has?
terms I don't, for Jim's to expire June 30th, 2025, and
Perfect.
Tom's to expire June 30th, 2024, presumably always subject to renewal if the person's
Yeah.
interested.
Oh, fantastic. It's hard to believe I didn't read that.
Oh, hold on, see this. Oh, yeah, that sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
So if I may, I move that we approve the appointment of Jim Fisher to the Sklar Subcommittee as a full member with a term to expire June 30th, 2025, and to approve the appointment of Tom Martinson as MCC representative to the Sklar Subcommittee with a term to expire June 30th, 2024.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? Thank you very much, Tom. We were thrilled when you joined us. We're delighted that you're giving more of your time. And
Let's have a vote.
What's that?
Let's have a vote.
Oh, we have it. Yes. Okay.
I just,
Yeah.
I'm just, the expiration date is 6/30/24. Are you saying that is the same as my expiration date on this commission?
No, maybe
No.
not.
Okay, I thought that's, okay, I just
No.
want to make sure that.
No, your
that-
expiration
okay.
date here is 2026, and
26, right.
I presume that each subcommittee can
Okay, right, right.
Yeah. And,
approve.
Which is fine.
Mhm. All those in favor? Motion carries 5-0. And Tom, you're abstaining.
Would Jim like to join Wildcat Falls too?
Yeah.
We're short of quorum, so all meetings have been suspended.
All right, that brings us to other business. And Mike, you know the drill. You don't hurt our feelings if you want to leave. You don't have to sit, certainly don't need to sit through all this.
Waiting for Jim, because I was through
Other business, annual presentation. This is really the annual review for the town council that goes into the, the annual report every year. I put this on there right, mainly so Ellen could tell us if she needs help with this or needs information or support in any fashion.
Well, as you know, the written town report every year has something from each of the town boards, including the Conservation Commission. It'll be basic information about us, who we are, what we do. If there is any particular project in a subcommittee or anything that the commission has done that you want highlighted, please let me know. I'll also be looking at our minutes for things like our plans and hopes for next year, for things to look forward to. But mostly we're documenting to our neighbors what the commission has done, and I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So if you could email me, ecolb@merrimacknh.gov, I'll be happy to include it. I'll be working on this over the next few weeks. They have to have it early in the year to be included in the written report that will go out well before election day in April, budget day in April.
Is that the timing of it? I always forget.
It's the town elections are in April, and that's when the budget and such goes out, and everybody gets their nice fat report from all the town commissions before that.
Okay.
So we've only got
Makes
2 or
sense.
3 pages, but they're ours.
And did I email you the PowerPoint presentation?
Not yet, but I'll be happy to get it.
I'll send it to you. It might save some work.
Thank you.
You helped me put together that list of.
And I will
things.
send you a draft, because this will probably be in draft form before our next meeting.
Okay.
And
We'll go
I'll
from there.
confirm the deadline, and we'll see how much time we have to work with.
Thank you very much for running with that. Also in your packets, under other business, just tidy up this housekeeping item. In your packets was the proposed calendar for next year. You didn't get that?
Not in the
Really?
physical one. It was in the email, but,
Huh. Well, I mean, by statute, we have to meet once a month. We generally try to meet twice a month. I think you've seen since you've been with us, if we have an opportunity, if there's nothing on the agenda, we usually will not have that meeting and go to just one per month. There's a few months that we only schedule one meeting. I think September is that way. I think February is that way because of the holidays. The only thing in community development helped draft this schedule up. The only thing I guess I would recommend, unless someone knows a compelling reason to have it this way and that I don't, I think we should change the submittal timeline for agenda items. Right now it's 3 weeks prior to the meeting. So in some of these circumstances where actually the submittal time is before we have the preceding meeting. Just seems like a really long lead time. We don't want it too short because, we all have, we're all busy and we don't want it to be so close that there's not time for a commissioner to prepare for an item on a meeting that they feel needs, preparation for. I kind of wish I had a few more days with the dredge and fill permit. But unfortunately, that was when it was submitted. That was when it was received downstairs, and we only have so many days to act on it. So we had to include that today's. If we had had another week to work with it, I probably would have drafted something up for this meeting, a memo, so we could have actually seen a draft. But I don't know. I think we could go with 2 weeks. I mean, so this is if someone wants to have an item on our, like it's a development or something on our agenda, they have to turn it. I suggest we move it to 2 weeks out.
To what extent is the date on there reflective of statutory posting requirements? I'm not familiar with what's required.
So I think the statutory requirements, we have to have our agenda finalized 3 working days out. No, I'm sorry, 72 hours out. They're not working days. And that's why we always get our packets no later than Friday for this Monday meeting. There are some circumstances where you can waive that, but I don't know that we've ever needed to do that. And it's certainly if you're going to have a special meeting, if we have to respond to maybe there's a parcel we're interested in, we need to have a non-public, we can do something like that on real quick notice. We have, there are carve-outs for those sorts of unusual circumstances. We generally have our agenda finalized. I usually have that done by the
November.
previous, a week, at least a week out.
Mhm.
But again, that's just so that everyone give the commissioners as much time to prepare for it. And if we have to, certainly if we have to invite people in, a lot of these people that come present to us, a lot of them are, the engineers and so forth, they're all, they have busy schedules and this is all work time for them. So they've got to program that into their workload.
And they program it into when they have to present to planning board.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need a motion to do that?
No,
shorten the
no,
date?
this is just, by consensus. I don't see anyone objecting to shortening this
No,
time
I
period.
think it's a good idea.
Yeah, okay.
Consensus, make it 2 weeks, and we will be open to feedback from community development, I assume, if there's a statutory thing that we're
Yeah.
not aware of.
Yeah. Other than that, we'll get this, if they don't see some, obvious reason not to, we'll go ahead and change the submittal deadlines and publish this, or post this rather on our website. We've flown through that, so that brings us to, approval of the minutes, of the November 13th, 2023 meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes from the November 13th, 2023 Merrimack Conservation Commission meeting with the following amendments.
I second.
One thing that I noticed, I will have to check with Stephanie and see if this is an amendment or if we put it in tonight, when on page 4 regarding the motion to get signs for BB Lane, I did not know which fund to request, and that was, no fund was specified. Clearly, Fund 53 was the one I should have mentioned. Put that in there.
Page 3. Oh, I see it. On page 4.
This would be page 4, line 135. And that's all I had.
So this would be Fund 53?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else? No? All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes as amended? Motion carries 6-0. Danielle, do you care to make a final motion? Dale or Al?
I move to adjourn.
Motion by Andrew, second by Danielle. All those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Have a wonderful night.
Okay, I'll have notes to you.